It was unbelievable. I got home the next. All I know is the next morning. Rachel's like, "What the hell happened to you last night?" I was like, "Well, ask Erin."
Hey guys, welcome to the official YouTube page for Calm Down with Erin and Charissa. This is where you can watch all of our ridiculous conversations and fun interviews. We have full shows, we've got pre-games, anything and everything that you guys could want. But first, you're going to have to subscribe. Just hit subscribe right there and you're good to go. And now you can calm down with us. Yep. Can you tell that we're reading this off a script? We hope so. All right. We need to calm down and wrap this bad boy up. Press subscribe. Thanks for listening. Calm Down with Erin and Charissa is a production of iHeartRadio. Should we have a formal introduction? Because he is a professional.
You did for Derek Jeter, just like you did for do that for Kevin. What you did to Jeter.
Hey guys, ladies and gentlemen, a man who needs no introduction, Kevin Burkhardt. I mean, this has been a long time coming. I'm so excited that you're on with us.
Oh my gosh, it was an honor. I got the text. I was like, I'm in. Let's go. It's better than any invite you could get. To come on with you guys.
Oh yeah, it's right up there with the white party. Has anyone ever been to that? No. Anyways,
our coworker has, but that's about
Plenty
it.
of coworkers have been to it, but yachts, white parties, not on those yet.
You look like you've been on a yacht. You have your nice summer tan on you, but now all of our lives are about to be over in the best possible way. I'm very excited that the season is upon us, you guys.
Oh my gosh. I mean, I'm excited for the season, but getting a little sun and having a cocktail or two isn't the worst either. Let's be honest.
It's not. And we've been lucky enough to have a few of those together over the off season. So yes. Kev, you're no stranger to the nonsense that is the Calm Down podcast. So
he lives it.
Yeah.
For 6 months out of the year.
So, as you know, as a loyal listener of the Calm Down podcast, this is not a formal production. So, any expectations that you had of this being like that, just throw them right down your staircase that's behind you. Yeah. What a great staircase, by the way.
I appreciate it. It's funny because when I knew I was coming on, I asked for the list of questions. I was stunned that there was no formal list. Totally shocked. I was like, whoa, what kind of program am I going on here?
You needed your publicist to agree to the questions that you were about to be asked. But no, so
this is my publicist right here. That's my publicist.
Oh, Angel.
Tell the story about Laura, how she came into your life. Is it Laura or Lara? How do we say it?
It's Laura, like Lara Croft. Logan, my son, named her like a Lara Croft Tomb Raider situation.
Cute.
Yeah, we were looking at rescues years ago. We've had her for 8 years now. And, we had like an idea of what kind of dogs we wanted. And we went to one of the rescue spots in LA to find her. And like they couldn't get her out of the cage. Like they found her on the street. She was shaking like a leaf. And then just like one of those things, right? Like, we said, well, let's try, see if you can get her out of the cage. And they brought her out of the cage and she went right to my son and sat in his lap and stopped shaking. I was like, well, I guess we're getting a dog today. Yeah. So it was pretty cool. One of those like really neat dog stories. They're the best, aren't they? So good.
They are. We were talking about that before we got on here because today's a rough day for me. I have to put one of ours down and it's like the worst. And this is not a downer. We're not trying to be a downer here, but it's just to further accentuate and highlight that those animals, they're so loyal and so loving. And so are you, Mr. Burkhardt. So let's turn our attention back to the task at hand so I don't start crying because there's no reason to cry when you're on the podcast.
No.
Are you going into your 11th year now, right? Because you started with EA on the 12th year. Okay, yeah. 12th year, because your first year was with John Lynch and with EA, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was 2013, I think. Right, Erin? I think we were 2013. We had the 1 year together with John, and then obviously we were apart for all these years, the last few. So now we're back for our third year together, right? I think that's I'm losing track. It's bad. But
because time flies when you're having fun. So in 12 years, when you think about that broadcast team from 12 years ago, John Lynch, of course, now the general manager for the San Francisco 49ers, Erin's had a baby. You have so many different hats that you wear at Fox. You are the lead
host anchor for MLB on Fox. You are the lead play-by-play announcer now alongside Tom Brady and with Erin and Tom on the Fox NFL broadcast. So in the last 12 years, what would you say is the biggest change that's happened for you in those 12 years?
Well, how much
Where
time
do I
you got?
start?
I mean, geez, it's funny. Like I've worked with obviously a lot of different great people. And the cool thing is still having great relationships with them. Like I just talked to John Lynch this morning, right? Like, except now he's running the 49ers. So that's a little weird.
Yeah.
Still,
What did he say?
different.
What's going on with Ayuk and Williams? What do you have?
He's got some stuff going on. Maybe some stuff for after the record button is hit on this podcast. But you guys know John. He's always in a great mood and he's always good. So I think that's the coolest part. CT, it's like, I mean, obviously when Joe and Troy left and was lucky enough to get promoted with Greg and bump up, like one of the really cool things, I mean, obviously it's a great thing, but one of the really cool things is getting back with Erin because, we had that relationship, a great relationship in year one, and we always continue that. And then kind of getting back together was really, and it's been crazy fun. So I just think it's like the relationships and the people that you come across and deal with. And, like for example, baseball, like Derek Jeter joins us, right? And, I covered him a little bit. I interviewed him. I didn't know him from at all, right? Like, and honestly, I don't think a lot of people did because they didn't let people in. And so now getting to know him has been one of my favorite things in the last year because he's just so freaking normal and cool. So stuff like that, I just, I pinched myself if I told myself that at 17 years old that I was doing this stuff. It's wild.
Yeah. Best Jeter story you can share with us that, you never kind of thought would happen in a relationship between the two of you. Anything you can share?
I mean, the best, yeah, I'll share this. And sorry if he didn't want this out there, but the best Jeter story is like, this just gives you an idea of how cool he is and how much respect I have for him. But when he got hired, I was like, hey, can we spend some time together? I wanted to get to know him. So we built some chemistry.
I was hoping you would tell this one. Yes.
And so he's like, absolutely, whatever, so go down and go hang. And we're like, all right, wherever you want to go, Derek, I'll go, whatever. So he picks a spot, we go. And, it was like middle of the day. And I happened to be mentioning, we were on like a little promo shoot earlier in the day. And so we basically carved out time at night to hang. So this was like, I don't know, 3:30 in the afternoon. And I was talking, as you guys well know, I like a good cocktail or a couple. And I said, man, I could crave a margarita. And that was, at noon, sadly. And so we got to hang out.
When it turns to PM, you're fine. Don't worry about
That's
it.
what I thought too. I mean, it might have been 11:50-ish, but it was like close. So, we go to this place and we're hanging out, and I ordered like whatever I ordered in like an iced tea. And Derek's like, iced tea? He's like, I thought we were doing tequila. I was like,
yeah, my man.
And we just had the best time. I felt like I knew him forever. And that was the first time I met him. We were just, talking, bullshitting, telling stories and listening to him tell stories. It was the best. So like, that just kind of tells you all you need to know about him, right? A guy that makes someone he just met feel that comfortable. So that's that's one of my favorites.
That's amazing. Kev, I have so much respect for you and for so many different reasons, but I can't imagine what your preparation looks like. So for those people that don't know, Kevin obviously wears the two hats, the two largest hats you could wear at this network, in that you're anchoring this, group that with Big Papi and Jeter and that incredible baseball guys. And then you go over and you sit in a booth and you call games and then with the A crew for the NFL. And just how do you, and I look at you from a vantage point as obviously a host, because I've never done play-by-play before, but sort of what's the biggest difference for you professionally moving from that booth position of play-by-play to the host position in baseball, and sort of how are you able to do both of those things so effortlessly?
Yeah, it's, what, Charissa, I always really prided myself on being versatile. And, early in my career, people were like, oh, you got to pick one thing. You can't be doing all this stuff. You can't be a jack of all trades. It doesn't work. Right. So coming here and having Fox, like, have the faith in me to actually be versatile and do both. Like, I really take a lot of pride in that. And, I think the prep, it's different, but the same. In doing the play-by-play, it's definitely more detailed. Like I'm not studying when I'm doing the baseball pregame, I'm not studying the 25th guy on the bench and what he hits with runners in scoring position.
Yeah.
It's more, as it's more like general themes. What's going on with the team? What do the fans think? What's the news? Like the important topics. And you're doing that too with play-by-play, but it's just detail. Like play-by-play, I know I have stuff on every single guy that may or may not get in the game, because my biggest fear is, and this happened to me years ago before Fox, I was doing a game and some guy the Jets just signed off the street blocked a punt and returned it for a touchdown. I had no idea who it was. I mean, I knew his name, but I knew his name, but I'm like, I will never do that again. I will never go into a game and not know something about every single player. And so that's the difference in the prep. But I mean, really you're just, the way I describe it to like younger people or people that are trying to get in the industry, I feel like, and I don't know how you guys feel, I feel like for that week, you become an expert or try to become an expert on those two teams. And you're speaking to the diehards, you're speaking to the casual fan, and you're also speaking to the people that have never watched a baseball game all year. So that's kind of my thought process in a nutshell. And everyone's got a different way about it, but that's kind of Erin and I think are similar. We talk about prep a lot. We're nuts sending each other articles at midnight and stuff like that.
She sent me 7 on you today.
I did.
To prep for this. She did. And by the way, and this was me. So they come through the headlines. It's like these glowing headlines on you. And I immediately look at them, and I hadn't opened them yet. I immediately responded. I was like, finally, the respect that KB deserves. These were articles from 6 years ago that she was sending me, like just in case I hadn't seen those ones. Yeah. And I was like, yeah, Erin, I know that. But I was like, I just love her that she like also wants to make sure that I have the information and prep for you, who I've been lucky enough to call, a friend for, I don't know, the last 5-6 years. But I think that just says a lot about who Erin is as well, that she wants everyone on her team to be prepared. So I'm going to put Erin on the spot now. Greg gave us a great Erin impersonation and sort of like pull back that curtain of life on the road. I need a funny EA story. There's a bazillion, but I need an Erin story that only you or Greg from the last few seasons would know, having spent so much time with her. And I don't mean calling me from the airport bars when all of our flights are delayed.
That's one of my favorites. That's one of my favorites. I mean, there's so many of them. I will say, so first of all, there's multiple things I love, but I love like whatever it is, whether we're in a production meeting or whether we're at an airport or whatever it is, when we're on the field for the game and we just have this work wife, work husband thing. I just turn around and Erin's like, the eyes get really big, and I cry inside because I know exactly what she's looking at and what she's thinking. It's amazing. I mean, there's so many that I would say one of our most fun nights, and she knows where I'm going to go with this probably, but one of my most fun nights ever was a couple years ago when we were in Kansas City. And we're doing, and because we did call you from the airport, actually.
We did.
And
it was the jailer.
We do the Chiefs, and we're like, you know what? We don't feel like staying in Kansas City. Let's get home tonight. And I'm like, there's no flights. And Erin's like, there's a Southwest flight at 10:30. We're going to get on it. I'm like, oh, we're really doing that, huh? And so we're like, all right, I'll do it with you. So, this was at, I don't know, was this dinner Saturday night, Erin, that we booked this flight?
Yeah.
So
I kept looking. I'm like, it's open. It's open.
Oh, we were at dinner, and then we got back to the room, and like we're prepping, and she's texting me, there are 2 seats. Book now. I'm like, okay. So we booked the flight.
$199. Business Sunday, select?
Oh, yeah. A52 race. So we go and do it, and we had a decent amount of time to kill at the airport, which is fine. We just wanted to sleep in our own bed. You know how that is. You get like midway through the year, home. you just want to sleep in your own bed, no matter how long the day is. So we're in the airport. We got time to kill, and it starts casual, and then we're watching the Sunday night game, and then we're having a couple cocktails, and then the flight gets delayed. Well, it was already a long day, and now the flight's like really delayed, and then a couple cocktails turned into multiple cocktails. And then the best part is the flight finally is ready to board. So we're like the only ones left in this little bar. And we say to the guy, hey, can we get a roadie, a red wine, roadie, whatever you got. And
as one
like,
does. Yeah.
You got it. And he came out with I'm thinking like a coffee cup. He comes out with a cup like this. And like,
gulp.
And there we are with a clear cup it's either wine or well-seasoned grape juice. Here's my boarding pass. It was unbelievable. I got home the next. All I know is the next morning. Rachel's like, "What the hell happened to you last night?" I was like, "Well, ask Erin."
And this is what we love so much. So Rachel, your amazing wife, and Jarrett, of course, Erin's husband. There's like this thing you guys spent. I said this at Mac's first birthday party when you were so adorable and you're in the playpen playing with Mac because that's just who you are. Like everyone's like out, not paying attention. Kevin is in the playpen with Mac, like reading him stories. And it's just, you guys spend so much time together but a shout out to your significant others because it takes a very special person at home that understands the dynamic of being on the road and like those late nights or like, oh, I had too many cocktails. I don't know how I got home. And it's like, oh, they're just being themselves, like whatever. And I just love that because it like so much of our life is spent on the road or with the people that we work with that it says a lot about the people that we choose to spend our lives with at home that are like cool enough to do that. So,
right? Yeah, no doubt.
We love that. And Rachel can get down. She's got some moves.
She can get down.
Me, her, and Kendra have a date for some choreography because we're going to do a little dance party. You guys may or may not be invited. We're not
She'll
sure
be
yet.
in. You don't even have to ask twice. She will be in. You already know that.
She's the best.
It says a lot when our significance, yeah, wow, I'm ready for the season. Significant others, i.e. Jarrett and Rachel. I mean, sometimes Kevin, I am voice noting him before I go to sleep or when I wake up in the morning. And it's nothing, it's all work related or somebody we're making fun of. And so I'm like, coffee voice in the morning or bedtime voice. And Jarrett's right there and he's like, night, Kev, talk to you later. It's so good.
It's good.
It's so great. It's so true too.
One of the articles that Erin sent me in case I didn't know your backstory, which I did. And it's one thing maybe that we have in common, Kev. You and I have both been at the forefront of selling some Chevrolets, all right? Just off I-405, exit 18 in Kirkland. Lee Johnson Chevrolet, come on down. You and I should have like a spokesperson, like sound off.
Yeah.
In conjunction with starting your career, you went and also sold cars. So I need you to give us the backstory in your own words about how that happened, where you went as the headline, and I will read the headline, which made me so happy because, again, you deserve all the recognition in the world. Kevin Burkhardt, one-time car salesman, is Fox's new NFL play-by-play guy. He was a used car salesman. Now he's calling the Super Bowl. So how do you go from that?
Wall Street Journal, by the way, wrote that. That's pretty big shit when you have a whole article about you. I didn't get asked for that one. Weird.
I'm like, what can I do to put you in this new Tahoe? Touchdown, Cowboys! It's all in the same breath. You know what? It's actually really a fun story. And if we don't do a car commercial together at some point, I don't even know what we're doing. Seriously,
Fox is missing a huge opportunity here with the two of us.
I mean, hello.
You've got a friend in the car business. We'll do our jingle later. Yeah.
Oh, I don't know if I remember the jingle, but I did do a commercial for them, ironically, later. And it was horrendous, but I did it.
Okay, we got to pull it. Do you remember any part of it?
Oh, I remember all of it because we played it on the baseball postgame show. They busted my chops playing it. Yeah. It was just like me and this. It was me and this giant, I had a shirt that was like 16X and I weighed like 170 pounds. I was like, hi, welcome to Pine Belt Chevrolet. And I was like, I can't believe that guy's on the air doing like the Fox A game. It's wild. But anyway, yeah. So I just basically, as we've all been, right? You hit these parts where you're just like, okay. And I just hit a wall and I was like, why can't I get a break? I don't understand what's going on. And so I literally just went through the Sunday classifieds back when the newspaper was still being delivered. And I found a car dealership and I was like, you know what? I'll go do that. I had no idea how to sell cars, any of that stuff. And I just went in. The guy said, okay, sure, you're hired. And then I kind of said, well, I think I'm a sportscaster. So he's like, all right, or whatever. And then we just started talking and I got some opportunities to fill in occasionally on WCBS in New York. And then he heard me one night driving home from the dealership and he's like, man, you're really good. He's like, okay. He's like, so you let me know when you get freelance opportunities. I'll just let you go. Just keep it between me and you. So he turned into a real friend. This guy by the name of Mike Trevino, who still owns one of the couple of the dealerships. And So it became like a relationship. And like when I got gigs, he just let me go. And then I sold I did pretty well selling cars. So it actually was I enjoy talking about it because I enjoy telling young people like, hey, like, I was in the middle of it trying to figure it out too, right? Like you don't have to like get it right out of college and go to the top thing. Like your path can be kind of weird. So it was a good learning experience, no doubt. I actually took a lot from it. It was cool.
What's
I
the
love
biggest
that
thing it
because-
taught
yeah.
you? Sorry,
Yeah.
CT. What
No,
did
no,
it
no, you're
teach you
good.
kind of holding out and having to schlep and sell cars and all that?
Yeah, it's a great question. Quite simply, it just taught me to ask for stuff I wanted. And because I was always like a don't rock the boat. I still kind of am. I'm pretty laid back. You guys know, like unless I get to the point where something really pisses me off, like which doesn't happen very often at all. And so I'm usually just a go with the flow guy, and like doing that job, very simply, you either ask for what you want or you don't put money in, you don't pay your rent, So it just taught me to negotiate, to ask for things, because the worst people could say is no. And then from there, I took that lesson and like I called a guy who I'd worked with before, who was a program director at the Fan in New York, Eric Spitz. And I just called him and I said, hey, I think I'm good enough to work at your station. Like, can I audition? And he said, okay, come in Friday. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
So it was just just a simple lesson, but it was just one that I guess I just never knew how to do. So it taught me a very valuable skill.
But don't you also appreciate that you had to do things like that? Because now when you sit in a booth and you call a Super Bowl, or you sit on that desk alongside Alex Rodriguez or Derek Jeter or Big Papi, and you're at the World Series, like I imagine, because it's how I feel when we've all had the great fortune of living out our dream job, is that you're like, oh, but it didn't, no one just handed you a Willy Wonka golden ticket as like, you get to do this. You had to go through all these other things, or you had to work, your way up to get to where you are. So I imagine the appreciation is there and you wouldn't change it for the world.
You're spot on. I mean, you know me well. Like, I would never change it, and I will never not appreciate what I'm doing, because I know the alternative, right? And just sitting there trying to climb the ladder and hope you get anywhere near the top. Forget about to the top.
Mm-hmm.
Just getting traction and moving up in the industry and doing things you want to do. So yeah, from there, there's never a time that I don't go and walk a field at a stadium with Erin and not look around just for a second and be like, this is pretty cool that I am standing on this field and going to talk to all these people later doing this. Like, there's never one game where that doesn't happen. And you're right. It's because of that experience and like my journey here. And everyone, there's a lot of people that come out and go right in and their stars right from school or right from high school. Like, God bless them. That's great. I don't think I would have been. I think the way that I did it was good for me. Like, I think it helped me get to be who I am today. So I embrace it. I really do. I'm happy it happened that way.
I want best cars sales pitch. I like, say I'm just going in as a woman. What things should I stay away from guys like you? What things are
Guys like you?
You
Guys
salesmen,
like
you son of a no. Tell me, like, what is one? What's always your go to? Like, I always have my fallback go to question for Kyle at halftime or Matt at halftime. What was your go to sales pitch?
What is most important to you? It was always like, okay, because people always had a trigger. So it was always, is the monthly payment important? Is it a newer used car? Is it a certain feature in the car? Like, they always had a trigger. So it was finding out what that trigger was and then kind of working off of that. The crazy thing is, and I don't know if it's still the same. I mean, this was, when did I last sell cars? I mean, I don't even remember the year.
It's all
at
the
this
same.
point.
As a daughter of a used car salesman, it's all the same. If you can sell, you can sell. It doesn't matter if this is 1986 or if it's 2024. Like, that's all the same.
True.
No doubt. But Charissa, like, the crazy thing is, and I tell people this and they still don't blame me, like, you would, just the way it's structured, and maybe it's not like this at every place, but, our place, it depended on, what kind of incentives the dealer had and things like that. And you got paid a lot on structure. Like, if you sold 8 cars that month, you got a bonus, something like that. And there would be times where I would sell, a $50,000 Suburban and I would make $50 on the sale. And it made no sense, like literally no sense. So it was just no rhyme or reason. To sometimes it depended. And then there'd be other times you'd sell a $25,000 car, but the dealer owned it for a certain price and you'd make a good amount. You made a couple grand. So you had to be like, okay.
I think it's one of the... I'm only interjecting because I think it's one of the hardest things. Again, my father worked construction, hurt his back, and then he had to sell cars. And so I watched him growing up, like that idea. And then eventually, to his credit, like you, like he ended up owning the dealership, or, you know, he didn't become the lead announcer for Fox, but I'm sure he would have loved that opportunity too. But when you watch somebody you're dependent, sales is the hardest thing to do because there is no guaranteed money and you have a family to support. And it was like the stress that comes with that. But I have so much respect for doing that job, and not only doing that job because I watched it be hard for my father, but also because you were willing to do anything to support your family. And I think that that's something that's like so commendable. Here's the one thing that my dad taught. Yeah. My dad always told me, don't close after the sale. Like if I'm on the lot and I'm like, okay, I'll take it. And then you keep being like, and there's air conditioning and there's this, it's like, ooh, they already bought it. Don't shut up. Just shut up, because now you might say more. And it's like, they've already said they're going to buy the car. So like so many times, and I think about this in my own life, like if like whatever, I get a job and I'm like, okay, but I'm going to work really hard and I'm going to do this. It's like, you shut up. We just gave you the job. Now you're ruining it. Walk away, go sign the goddamn paperwork before they take it back. So don't close after the sale was my big
and I promise you won't regret it. And I'll come in early.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, okay, lady. But yeah, I just love that. That's so great. Well, Kevin, it's not a surprise to me, though, that you were successful at that because, and I say this so unbiasedly, just, yes, I feel lucky enough to be your teammate, as I know Erin does, but you are one of the nicest. Anyone listening to this, you have to know that what you see is what you get with Kevin. There's no like, he's one person on TV and another person when the TV, you know, he walks out of the booth and takes the mic off.
That's not true.
Okay,
Sassy Kevin is a fucking time.
Okay, I meant the kind person that, like, you know, he's not an asshole behind the scenes.
Oh, no.
Sassy, yes, but kind Kevin, in the person that, like, no matter what would happen in life, like, you would always be there. And I just love you for that. You are so consistent in that department. Now, Sassy, so let's turn it over to Erin for more on that.
There'll be times, and no one knows this better than Kevin and Charissa. We are week 12. We are week 10. We're tired. We're sassy. We're boarding an airline, and maybe you can't all go together, or maybe it's like you get somebody that's loading you into the plane that just isn't too happy. And this one turns around to me as he's boarding and he goes, wow, strict Saturdays in full effect. And I'm just like, Sassy Kevin is boarding the plane, my man, to Detroit. The one-liners this guy has are insane. They're insane.
I'll throw out some one-liners. Erin loves the sassy Kev. John, we were talking about John Lynch earlier. He used to say the jersey's coming out, like the jersey's coming out. Uh-oh, the jersey KB's coming out a little bit now.
Yeah.
So you get that. I get some moments.
You gotta have that though.
I may save a couple for Erin on weekends, just to I save them up so then I could unload them on.
My favorite is when Kev just said, from everything that he's gone through in his career to be where he is now, that's why he takes an extra minute to enjoy walking around the field. I was going to say, except when you're going and you're broadcasting a Detroit Lions game and the punter smokes your fucking hand with a ball.
What? What was that?
We thought his hand was fucking broken.
John Fox saved my life. Like we were I forgot about that. That was last year, right? Was that last year?
Was it Thanksgiving?
No, it wasn't Thanksgiving. I think we were there another time. No, it definitely wasn't Thanksgiving. I know that. It was week 2. We were there against Seattle.
Detroit, yeah.
It was week 2, and we were down on the, you know how it is. You always have to pay attention when you're on the field, but we were like off the field. We were like off the sideline. I mean, honestly, 5 yards off the sideline. So usually there, you're not going to get, and no teams were warming up. This was like special teams period. So it's just like field goal unit, stuff like that. So I wasn't even thinking of looking at the field at that time. So I'm talking, we're talking to John Fox, and Erin was like over positioned this way. And I'm like looking this way, and John is like somehow looking back. And all of a sudden we're talking, John goes, look out. Like last second, and I had no, that. So I just did this, then the punt hits me like right here,
clocks like, his hand.
Oh shit! It hit like my hand and my head, and I was like, I had no idea how a punt got there, but I guess like Jack Fox, the punter for Detroit, who, by the way, was amazing. He
Great
came like
dude.
running over, like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "Dude, like, thank you, but like, go do your job." But like, so it got me good, and I was like, "All right, this is gonna be great. Do a game like concussed, great, fantastic." But it hurt. It gave me like, I was like, "Man, I don't know how you guys catch these things." Like, it hurt. My hand was like blowing up. I was like, "All right, well, see if it's broken." It was fine, but yeah, everyone's like, "We're getting you to the doctor right now. Get the team doctor." She had me like locked and loaded. She got me ice. She got me the whole thing. She took care of me.
She is far before she was a mother to Mac. You are very good in those situations, Erin. Crisis situations.
For sure.
I can deal with the training staff, the doctors, and all of that.
She loves the trade. This one.
He knows. I love a training
weather?
staff.
Weather
good
weather
question.
report is close. Yeah, that's fair.
Right.
I mean, if you had to pick a team training report versus a weather report, I think weather would be top, right?
Fair.
Yeah.
All right, so we had a lot of great stuff there with KB. We're going to do this in 2 parts. Stay tuned because next week, this was so good. We can't wait for you guys to hear it. He's going to tell us all about being on the field and taking pictures for our new coworker, Tom Brady.
Not with, for.
High angle, low angle. Kev, you got to get it right. Filter? Maybe not.
Calm Down with Erin and Charissa is a production of iHeartRadio. For more podcasts from iHeartRadio, visit the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.